And also Erev Rosh Chodesh Re'eh, Tavshel Lamed Daled. But this part is not going to be talking about Re'eh, it's going to be talking about the month of El. So we're going to start at the bottom of the page, the part that is going to start speaking about how one has to have Bitochon and deal with overcoming obstacles, etc. Line 27, bottom of the page, 3 lines from the bottom. It's known the aphorism of my father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, for concerning the metaphor of a soldier that goes out to war with a victory march. Even though this goes against the rule that's brought down in Malachim Aleph, that says that the one who is strapping on his armor and his weapons should not be as prideful and praising himself like someone that's loosening his armor. In other words, the one that's going out to war should not have the same issues of pride like someone that's returning from war. So why would someone go with a victory march out to war before he even was victorious? But the Frierdiker Rebbe says, because going out to war out of joy, that itself is considered weapons that assists and affects and causes the victory. So we go on to the top of the next page. It says, this is not just something that's a Jewish thing, but we see this also by the nations of the world. Like it's understood from what it says in the Torah concerning going out to war. And actually, this is something from our parsha this week. It's parsha. Do not let your heart soften. Do not fear and do not rush and do not become shocked before them, those that are fighting against the Yid. Daled Azharis, these 4 warnings that Rashi explains of Al Yerach, Al Tiru, Al Takpus, Al Tartzu, Keneged Daled Dvarim Shemalchi Umas Oisim. These are corresponding to the 4 things that the kings or the governments of the nations do when they go out to war. Magifim B'Trisayim, they're knocking against their shields with Taikim B'Shoifros, and they blow in Shoifros, and Minim Ashmiya Koil, and other types of things that trumpet and make sounds. Hainu, this means, the other side also goes out to war in a manner of a big tumult to be able to throw a fear on others. So the Rebbe goes on line 5, so too has to be also on the side of holiness. Concerning this, it says, that when you go out to war upon your enemies, meaning that you are higher than your enemies. This means that going out to war has to be out of a feeling of superiority over the enemy. We know that it's always the one that is higher is the one that makes the fear come down on the one below. Since that's also the reason why we have to have fear of Hashem. Since God is in the heavens and you are on the ground, and it's a rule that the one that's higher is always the one that's has the greater strength, and we have to fear. So the same thing, we have to go to war upon your enemies, feeling higher than our enemies. Because when going out to wars in such a way, over there where it says, when you'll go out to war upon your enemies, so then immediately it says that Hashem will give him over in your hand. It's sufficient just the going out to war on its own. lahatel yira v'apachad al tzad shekeneged, to throw a fear and a shock and so on upon the opposite side. Ba'ofen in such a manner shemalchatchila lo yitzarich milchama, there won't even be a need for war, because the fear will cause them to totally, give up. So too, it's in the spiritual war concerning Yetzirah, va'adrab, even more so. That what do we see concerning how much more so it is when we're talking about the fear of the Yetzirah? The reason why it's so in a physical war, the reason why we find all these things in physical wars is because that all comes from the way it is in the spiritual wars above. Like the very well-known expression that the Alter Rebbe uses towards the first few chapters in Tanya, they came down via chain descent. So the reason why it's this way in the war down here below, it's because in the spiritual war it's that way. Milchama Gashmis, why is it that it's in a physical war this way? You have to go out in the spiritual war with a whole power, and to make the opposite of Kedusha fear you and be in a state of being sublimated, like the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, b'maimer Hazal, in the Chazal statement, la'olam yarkiz adam Yetzirah v'Yetzirah, a person should always make the Yetzirah angry against the Yetzirah. This means lirgois al nafsh abahamis, to become angry on the animal soul. That's his evil inclination. With a great tumult and anger in his thought to tell him how terrible he is. And even to a higher level than that, he doesn't even have to come on to anger. He can affect even an even higher way through joy that breaks through all the barriers. So instead of using anger and fear, he can overcome the Yetzirah and the spiritual battles through joy. And this the Rebbe is going to connect with the month of Elul, Zion, line 17. In such a manner also has to be going out to the avodah of the month of El. Lifal tikkun v'shleimus b'chol ha'inyanim shebehem tolui binyan v'kim oilam, to effect a repair and a perfection in all matters that in them is dependent the building and the existence of the world. L'chol l'roish, first and foremost, Sarach Yehudi leida l'hakir v'lis batuach, a Yid has to know and recognize and to be confident. It's in his capabilities to be able to effect a repair of the world. That the world was originally created in such a way that Hashem created to do. So the Chazal explain, what does it mean Hashem created the world to do? Lasis is the word lesakin, to repair. The world is built in this idea that it's meant to be repaired by us. Through a yid, the person affecting a repair and perfection in the world. So now the Rebbe brings a very interesting thing. By prefacing, we find a wondrous thing in the Medrash known as the chapters of Rabbi Lazar ben Agel Lepinus Tzafon, that concerning the northern corner, the northern side of the world, that he created the world, but he did not finish the northern side. And he says in the parentheses, it's like a portico that has no fourth wall, or like a porch that has no fourth wall. The same thing, like the northern side Hashem left opened and unfinished. Skip over the parentheses to line 24. That Hashem said, whoever proclaims themselves a God, let him come and prove his godhood by concluding and finishing that corner, that northern end that I left unfinished. Then everybody will know that he's a God. So the Rebbe says an interesting thing. How the line 26, he asks that this is a very strange way of stating this. Why does the Chazal use this very interesting choice of words? The expression, whoever says there is a God, should come and fix up that northern side, and then everybody will know there is a God. Ain't a moving cloud. Using that choice of expression is not understood whatsoever. Seemingly, you should have said the way the truth is, the opposite way. Since no one can come and finish this corner, that itself is a proof that he's not a God. But the idea behind this is, with this, it's hinted, it's in the power, the capability of a Yid to come and finish off this corner. Why? That's what it means, that the Yid is like Chelik Elokah. He can come and finish it and prove his connection with Hashem. We know that the northern side has to do with the root of bad. Like it says in the Pasuk, from the north will open up the bad. It means that the invasion to Eretz Yisrael would come from the north. It's also the north side has to do with the left. If you're facing Mizrach, if you're facing east, so the north is on the left. The left side has to do with Gvura and Tzimtzum and eventually Klippas. But even though the north is incomplete, even though the north has negative to it, it's the capability of a Yid to repair this, and to close up that opening of the northern side. That's why the Chazal is saying, let him show that his godliness. In other words, the Chazal is like hinting at the Yid and saying, you can demonstrate that you have this particular power. Top of the next page, this is also hinted in the idea of the sukkah. Shalpidin, maspik, livnei sukkah, balas, gimel tfanis. Even though, according to Allah, it's sufficient to build a sukkah that only has 3 walls. Alpha became, but still in all, minig Yisrael, livneis, sukkah, balas, dal tfanis. It's still the custom amongst Eden to build a sukkah that has 4 walls. A sukkah that encompasses and surrounds all 4 sides. When a person closes off the northern side, meaning he gets rid of the negative, the bad, etc., etc. It's not just the northern side that he repairs and fixes. He causes a perfection, a completion, in the entire creation. Then they know that a Yid is a God. Just like Hashem that created the world. Similar to the Chazal's statement on the Pasuk, that it says over there by Yankiv, he called him Kael, the God of Yisrael. So the Chazal say a very strange thing. Hashem called Yaakov Avinu, he called him Kael. Vayikra loy Kael means that Hashem called Yaakov, he called him Kael. So we see this concept that a Yid can be called a God. So the Rebbe goes on, it says, why would Yaakov Avinu be called a God? So he brings Maimer Chazal, it says, Ma'akadosh Baruch Hu Borei Olam is just like Hashem creates worlds, Af Avichem Yaakov Borei Olam, so too your forefather Yaakov creates worlds. This is just like the point over here, that if you are a God, come ahead and conclude the creation. How is this accomplished? That's through Torah study. Hashem looked into Torah, and Torah was his blueprint by which he created the world. The same thing. A human being looks into Torah and gives the world existence. Al derech mashakasav, similar to where it says, to plant the heavens and to found the earth and to tell Tzia, and you are my nation. Until we are the one that are responsible for when Mashiach comes to create a new heavens and a new earth. And the Rebbe goes on to our favorite topic about Bitochon. Line 9, Ois Ches. And this is also included the trust and confidence that Hashem will give a Yid all of his needs in a way of comfort. Razal, the Chazal said, Kol Yisrael, B'nai Malachim, all Yidden are princes. V'Yiseirim is even more so Malachim. They are actually not just princes, children of kings, but they are actually kings. And the Rebbe brings an example from a Gemara that speaks about that really, if the way they used to hire workers, they used to have to give them, included was their food and so on, and unless a person makes a condition that he's not going to give him an exorbitant amount of food, he has to give him and feed him like even more than Shlomo HaMelech's meal in his time. So he says in line 14, let's skip that paragraph to the paragraph afterwards. Since every Yid is considered a king, and we need to give the needs of a king, it's understood that a king's needs has to be without suffering, without bother. How much more so from someone that's appointed upon the congregation, that's prohibited from doing work in front of 3 people. So in other words, no public work is permitted. How much more so a king, especially Shlomo HaMelech, which that Maimon Chazal compares the Yidden to Shlomo HaMelech, all of Namar v'yeshu Shlomo al Kisei Hashem. Concerning Shlomo, it says he sat on the throne of Hashem. So since every Yid is likened to a king, and even a meal of Shlomo HaMelech is insufficient for him, so therefore Hashem has to treat us that way and give us all our needs, and we have trust and confidence that He will give us that. It goes on line 17. This itself, is not only is it the trust and confidence that somewhere in the spiritual realm there is this type of hashpah. Skip the parentheses. Bitochon, but rather trust and confidence. Surely it will come down, this hashpah down here below in the physical. Whether it's by the heads of the tribes, even the heads of tribes need to have physical hashpah, physical needs. And also those, and how much more so those are the wood choppers and the water carriers. For them, it's primarily important that they should earn a few coins for the need of their survival. Moving, it's understood. The bracha should come down here to the lowest level. It has to come down from the highest level. The explanation this is the lechura seemingly. From where is the confidence that Hashem will give him all his needs? Is Hashem obligated, and does He owe us anything? That we find even tzaddikim, that they are considered far away from Hashem's charity. They could demand from Hashem. They have the merits that they could demand their needs. Still in all, even though they don't need charity from Hashem, the way they should be asking things from Hashem should be in a way of charity. Like it says, to you, Hashem, is charity, that we have to approach Hashem in a way of asking charity. How much more so those that are not tzaddikim, that are far away from the level of those that are far away from asking tzedakah. So what's the explanation? How could we be so confident that Hashem will give us everything that we need if He doesn't owe us anything? So he says, since the Yid and Hashem are entirely one, and the fact that a Yid finds himself down here below in this physical world, this wasn't just by chance. It's only because Hashem sent him down here to fulfill his job and his mission. Since Hashem is the essence of goodness. V'teva tov lahitiv, in the nature of the one who is good, is to do good. Surely Hashem is going to give him everything that's necessary so he should be able to fulfill his job and his mission. Like every single Yid says at the beginning of the day, the neshama that you placed within me is pure. Even beforehand we say, I'm thanking you, Hashem, that you returned to me my neshama. Every day Hashem returns to the person his neshama in like new, as if the neshama is completely new and rested up. And the person becomes like a new being, like a new creature. The Chazal say, whoever gives, the one who gives life, meaning Hashem, also gives sustenance. And also this idea of trust and confidence. This adds a strengthening in the person's service that should be out of joy. That adds in the victory, because like we said before, if a person goes out to war with the Yetzer Hara out of joy, so then that actually increases the capability and the chance of victory. This is also hinted in the name of the month of El. Even though in the Sfarim that was accepted in many scattered locations of the Yidden, there are many acronyms that's in the word El, skip the parentheses. The most well-known acronym is Ani l'doidi v'doidi li, I'm to my beloved is to me. Ukemudgish gam bedrush b'lchut Torah, like it's emphasized also in the Maimer b'lchut Torah. Let's skip over the brackets to line 8. Sheboy mevayra bein hazakin in Yonu shel Chodesh El, and that Maimer the Alter Rebbe explains the topic of the month of El, al pi mashal amel shekoydim b'el li'ir, yoytzim an she'ir l'krasa im mekabel panav basada, that the people of the city go out towards him to greet him in the field. V'mekabel es kulam b'sever panim yafis, he greets everybody with a shining countenance. U'mara panim serches l'kulam, he shows a laughing face to all. B'lechta ira v'chulam, when he returns to the city. That whole mimer talks about the king going in the field. How does it begin? That's the title of the mimer. I'm to my beloved is to me. Rosh El. So the Rebbe says a very interesting point. The word Elul could have had many different acronyms in a similar vein. Line 11. Seemingly, why is it exact that we're saying why in this context is Hashem specifically called Doidi, beloved? Anila Doidi v'Doidi li. Ba b'shar sh'arosh tevis de el yachlis gam b'loshna nila Hashem or Anila lakim v'yoytz b'zeh. You could have said the same idea, but instead of calling Hashem Doidi, you could have used Hashem's name. Anila Hashem v'Hashem li, or Anila lakim v'lakim li. It will still be the Rosh Tevis Aleph Lamed Vav Lamed. So instead of using Hashem's names, we choose specifically to use the word L'doidi. Ani L'doidi v'doidi li, my beloved. The idea behind this is Shapir shel doidi hu ha'ovi. The meaning of doidi is my beloved. Kach sha'arem is be'el Rosh Tevis ani L'doidi v'doidi li. The hint in Elul that I'm to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. It indicates the love between Yidden and Hashem, or Hashem and the Yidden. We'll move on, and it's understood. Paragraph line 15. When we're talking about Hashem, the way He's called not a creator or some other title, but He's called my beloved. Not just that I am to my beloved, that a Yid loves Hashem, but my beloved is to me, the way my beloved becomes comes down and is joined with every single Yid, whatever state and situation a Yid finds himself, his beloved Hashem joins him. So for sure he has complete trust and confidence that Hashem will give him everything that's necessary. Not only that, all of this is in the way that's appropriate to each one according to his level. Like it's understood from the teaching of the Mezritcher Maggid at the beginning of his Sfarim. He gives a metaphor, an analogy of a father because of his great love to his small child. The father constricts his mind, and he speaks childish things with his child. And the analogy for this, and the similarity, example of this is in the metaphor concerning Hashem. Since Hashem is omnipotent, he has the capability to raise up the child to him. So instead of the Hashem lowering himself to us, he could have raised us up to him. Became still in all, even before Hashem raises us up, his son, according to the mashal, the Mezritcher Maggid, Hashem constricts himself and he descends to the level of the sun. Similar to what it says, you open your hands and you satisfy all living beings according to their will. You don't first tell the person, what do you need this, what do you need that, and educate the person, you shouldn't be wanting this. No. Must be according to the will and the desire of that person. It's interesting, last week's parsha we had this a few times that the Torah says over there that when you will desire to eat meat, Hashem doesn't say, what are you desiring to eat meat? If you desire to eat meat, I'll help you. Being in a state and situation in a level of a living being, not turning the Yid into a malach, and that itself to every living being, whatever state you are in, even before he becomes elevated to a much higher level, that he could appreciate that maybe not all these things is what he needs to do and be involved in. Hashem still satiates and satisfies the desire of everyone according to their desires and wants. And we'll just skip over to the last paragraph in the Sikha, line 4. From this we come to the general idea of the 7 Shabbosim of comfort, as we mentioned many times, the 7 weeks between Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah, we read 7 Haftorahs of comfort. To transform the negative thing of the month of to a great Yom Tov, like the expression used in the Bracha when we bench the new month, the one who made miracles for our forefathers, he will redeem us soon. In the complete and full redemption and true redemption through Mashiach.